What's good, everyone? Today I'm doing my first ranking, so that's exciting. And I'm going to be doing the Terrifier and All Hallows Eve movies that I've been previously doing a review series for. Alright, so let's get started. At number 5 of 5, we have All Hallows Eve 2. And looking back on this movie now, after a couple weeks since I've seen it, it's completely forgettable. Like, I remember two parts about it. The first short, where they eat the cursed pumpkin seeds, and the bookends with the guy in the pumpkin mask. It was so horrible. It was cheap. It was ugly. It was underwhelming. Like, he just appears, gives a girl a VHS tape, goes away for a while, comes back and slices her throat for no apparent reason. And it looks horrible. It's unsatisfying. It's just stupid. It's dumb. Didn't like it. And yeah, all the shorts were forgettable. Like, I literally do not remember. I think that's the one with the ring ripoff at the end. That one was all right. That's the one in Spanish. I think that was All Hallows Eve too. That may have been the next one on our list. So let's get right to that one. Number 4, All Hallows Eve Trickster. And this movie is just really disappointing on every level because the vast majority of the shorts are just build up, build up, build up, and then when you get to the payoff, it just cuts to black. You hear some horrible sound effect, and everything you were waiting to see for the whole short is just taken from you, ripped out of your hands, and just leaving you empty-handed. It was so disappointing, especially on, I think it was the third short, with the creature in the basement that lives in a bathtub. It was so cool for a while. I was loving that short, and then the creature kills itself. He electrocutes himself in the bathtub right when you think he's about to go nuts on a bunch of police officers and just tear him to pieces. But no, it's just so frustrating. And then all the ones after the third short were forgettable. I really don't remember the rest of them, except for Karaoke Night, which honestly, that short alone kind of surpasses everything else on this list, up to number 1. Number 1 is still better, but that short alone is better than everything else on this list, I think. But it does not carry Trickster as a whole movie up any more places on the list, unfortunately. That's the only thing that really put this above All Hallows Eve 2, really. But I will say, out of the entire All Hallows Eve trilogy, this one has the highest production value. It looks the nicest. Some of the better made shorts. It has style to it. It's lots of color to it. So it was mostly visually pleasing, I guess. So I'll give it points there. And also the other scenes sprinkled throughout the movie of the CGI lady and the CGI house and the CGI box with the CGI doll monsters it was weird. The monsters looked cool and they were creepy, but they didn't really do anything interesting. Right when they were about to, you get to the very end of the movie, cut to black, dumb sound effects. You don't get to actually see anything. Rips the payoff right out of your hands, and then cut to credits. Just really, really disappointing movie. And I didn't even expect much from it. Number 3 on the list is the one that started it all, the original All Hallows Eve. And this was, I believe this was Damien Leon's first movie, and it turned out pretty well. I really enjoyed this one. This is way above Trickster for sure. The first short was it was cheap, but they were able to get the most out of a low budget. The practical effects, they look cheap, the masks look cheap, but they also look cool. But it was a fun short that actually ended up being kind of disturbing by the end. You get to the second short, and it's awful. It's just really bad. There's this alien, and it's kind of a cool costume. It's a silly, over the top costume, but it's fun. But it's in a short with a very serious tone, and it doesn't really match because the alien guy is like wiggling around like whenever he moves, and it just looks dumb. And the short as a whole is boring because it's just this one lady and the alien walking around the house, and the lady's screaming and like, ah, it's an alien, and that's it. And then just like in Trickster, it has, I guess you could call it build up, not really. But then you get to the end, and you're like, oh, the alien's gonna kill the lady, finally something cool, and he just drags her off screen, and it ends. And so it just felt like a big waste of time. Just like, oh, you made a cool costume. You could have done so much more with that, but oh well, sucks. And then the third short is the best one in this movie by far, where you get art. It's kind of like Terrifier light. It's just a slasher movie and with a cool ending, which I saw the ending on YouTube like way before I watched the movie, and I kind of wish I hadn't because it would have been quite shocking if I didn't know what had happened at the end. But it's still really good, really holds up well even if you've seen it before. The main problem with this movie is the acting overall isn't great, and the sound design is just horrible. They really, really needed to get some decent microphones in this movie. Alright, number 2 on the list, Terrifier. The first movie that actually is like one whole movie on its own. Or so it would have you believe. Because it's a movie for about half the runtime, and then it just kind of loses any driving force and just meanders around for the second half of the movie. And just art goes around killing random people. It looks cool. They're good kills. And then it ends on a really low note with the worst kill in the entire, like, out of Terrifier 1 and 2. But the acting took a step up. It was a much more watchable movie. It gets really weird in the back half with, like, Art pretending some homeless lady is his mom. It was weird. There's just a lot of weird stuff in it. You're just there for the kills, and then the rest of it doesn't really do much. Alright, and number 1, Terrifier 2, by a lot. By a huge, huge amount. Terrifier 2 is by far the best movie on this list. This movie is just crazy. It goes for everything. The kills are some of the goriest, most brutal kills you'll see in any movie. Art is a brutal killer, but he's also really funny. This movie even goes as far as to have a musical number in it, which was actually pretty good. And by far, out of any of these movies, this one has the best characters. They have actual character development, backstories. This movie expands on the lore of Art the Clown and his little assistant person. This is obviously the movie with the highest budget, and so they're able to do a whole lot more. They're just able to absolutely go crazy. This movie is 2 hours and 16 minutes, I'm pretty sure, and they make use of everything they can do, and it's just a lot of fun. It's a really cool movie. So, good job, Damien Leon. You started from the bottom with The Ninth Circle, the first short in All Hallows Eve, and became like a horror director icon with Terrifier 2 and made one of the best slasher movies in years. So good job, you did it. Made the best movie on this list. But that about wraps up this ranking. It was my first one. Probably came out horrible, but hopefully not. But if it did come out horrible, you probably wouldn't have watched this far. So thanks for watching.